Chihuahua. Good morning, Vietnam.
Rise and shine. It's butt whipping time.
Where are you from, bro?
Oh, I'm from Tennessee.
Oh, that's a sick accent, bro. I haven't heard that before. That's awesome, dude.
How impressive is that to you?
Really impressive.
And they run through our ass like shit through a tin horn, man, and we could not stop them.
What? Bro, what are you talking about?
I don't think nobody even worried about that type of stuff.
Well, I'm talking to you the way I want to talk to you.
You're not really that stupid, are you?
So don't shake your fucking head. If you ask a question, I'm telling you how I feel.
I can sit here and tell you for an hour, you wouldn't understand because you've never played, you've never been an athlete before in your life.
I am still up 20 grand from this last time I stick it in.
More proud of yourself.
I don't agree with that. So, just go ahead on your soliloquy, but I just don't agree with that.
Oh, hell, Ricky, I was high when I said that.
Because we have a tendency to think that way around here.
You're such fucking dopes.
Here. You come up, take the mic, make all your statements. There's a seat here and there's a seat.
That's about as PG rated as I can say it.
Second place of all of college football. You need to think of it that way. You need to think of it that way.
Is this live?
What's going on, y'all? Welcome back to Game On, another episode of Crick's Corner. Talk a little college football, recap last weekend. We had some exciting stuff going on last weekend. Some teams dropped the ball, literally, and have fallen out of the top 25 now. Some of them took plummets in the AP after upset losses this past weekend. Some games like closer than we expected them to be, and then some teams handled business. Maybe some of them we didn't expect to do so. Some of them I did. Some of y'all may have been questioning some of these teams, but they look pretty good this past weekend. What's going on, Blue? I see you in there, man. You my guy too, Blue. Love to see you in here, man. Good to have you. But yeah, we're going to recap all that. We'll recap Crick's Picks. Actually, it wasn't a terrible weekend for Crick's Picks last weekend in college football. We made a little bit of money back, climbing out of that hole I put us in. We did make some money, sir. You're right, Blue. So we'll pull those up here in just a minute and look at those and see how we did. Like I said, headed back in the right direction. That's all we can do is claw our way out of this thing here, and we will keep doing so. But like I said, we'll go through the games after we do Crick's Picks and recap that, and then we'll look ahead at some of the early lines for this weekend's game. I see some I already like in there. What's up, B. McCormick? How you doing, man? That's right. You know what time it is, man. Time to, like I said, we're going to look at a little college football. Y'all know Will don't let me talk as much college football as I would like to, so I got to get in here and talk about it by myself for you folks. But we'll pull Crick's Picks up now and see how we did last weekend. Actually, like I said, made a little bit of money on this thing, and the teaser was looking pretty good. I think I'm going to start firing those on the teasers, man. I like the 6-point teasers, but I like the 6 legs. I like the plus 600, a little 6-1 on your money there versus the 4-leggers that are like plus 260, less than 3-1 on your money, just over 2.5 there. So I like those. I had a couple more legs on those teasers right there, and obviously they'll get you bit, but hell, I can't hit the 4-leggers, so might as well try 6 and see. I know the ones that I have hit in the last few weeks have been 6-leggers for me. Missed a couple by 1 yesterday, but y'all know what Mama said. So looking at Crick's Picks right here, man. Ohio State, the Buckeyes came through for us. I'm telling you, I still think that is the top to bottom. I think that's going to wind up being the team that stands atop everybody else when it's all said and done. I think that is the best team overall. Was able to go into a tough environment there. I still think the Big Ten's fools for playing these games at noon like that. That may have been a much different outcome in that game. If I'm the home team, I'd be mad about it, man, because I think that may have been a much different outcome if they played that game at night in Happy Valley there. It could have been a whole different ruckus, but we'll get into that game here in just a little bit. But Ohio State does come through for us there. Arkansas got the brakes blown off, man. They got whipped in this thing. It was never a chance right there. Yeah, I hope we get to see that Oregon-Ohio State game again, Blue. But yeah, Arkansas never had a chance in this one. I don't know what's happened. I don't know if they've got some guys banged up at some key positions now. They look much different than that team that beat my Vols about a month or so ago. They have had the doors blown off twice against them at home now, once by LSU and now by Ole Miss. And Ole Miss they did whatever they want in this thing, man. One dude had 5 touchdowns, tied the single game SEC record there. Jackson Dart went off. Man, almost hit a 10-legger, huh, B. McCormick? That would have paid nice, man. But yeah, Arkansas got thumped in that thing. So they Hog has got some problems. You know, my guy Wolf told me that, big Arkansas fan. I told him I thought that team was about probably an 8-win team. He said he hoped they got to 6-6, and boy, he was right on that. It is his team, but he knew better, man. I'm telling you, I was drinking the Kool-Aid on them, and they have looked very, very bad the last few weeks. Miami looked bad for just a little bit, man. Got down by double digits in that thing and still came back and covered the 21 for us, defeating Duke 53-31. I'm telling you, the Hurricanes, they're looking better and better. They're another surprise team in the ACC that is tied atop those standings with them. Minnesota, there was the system play, man. Unranked team favored over a ranked team. And even on the road, they go into Illinois' house, and Illinois is got problems. I think they've lost 3 of their last 5 games now. They saw their stretch of 7 straight weeks in the top 25 come to an end this past weekend, too, after that loss at home to Minnesota. So the Illini got some problems going on, and Minnesota looks like they're getting right at the right time. Vanderbilt goes and gets another win on the road as an underdog. Books keep disrespecting this team right here, man. And I'm telling you, they're getting points again at home this week, and I'm thinking about taking them again. It's a weird game. We'll look at that in a little bit too. But Vandy, Diego Pavia goes down, beats Auburn again. He done beat them boys from when he was in New Mexico, and he beat them again when he was at Vandy as an underdog right here. And Vanderbilt still looks pretty good, man. Still looking pretty good. Love it, Blue. Love it, man. I had me a little sprinkle on that money line. Worked out for me. Georgia looked weird. Georgia's such a weird team, dude. And it's a weird rivalry game and all that stuff. But I'm telling you, Florida was down to their third-string quarterback. Graham Mertz got hurt against the Vols a few weeks ago up in Knoxville. And then it's been DJ Lagway, the freshman. You know, guy's an incredible athlete and all that. And, you know, he was the one that had been handed the reins at this point. And he went down with a pretty significant hamstring injury. They actually wound up having to cart him off in that game down in Jacksonville on Saturday. And, you know, he's a young guy. I'm sure he'll bounce back. But he is gone for the foreseeable future for the Gators there. And they're down to the third-string Yale transfer. Pretty cool story. Kid grew up a Gator fan and all that stuff. I'm sure never in his wildest dreams could have saw him getting thrust into that game the other day there. But, I mean, for Florida right here, they go to play at Texas this weekend. And they're getting 3 touchdowns. And I'll tell you what, I'm thinking about taking the Longhorns. We'll have to watch how that line moves. But Florida, to me, I don't see how they're going to be able to put any points up at all. Because after Lagway went down the other day, that offense did not look good at all. And Georgia too, just does what Georgia does. They play like shit for 3 quarters, and they play really good for 1 quarter, and they wind up winning the game by 2 touchdowns. Usually not enough to cover. Like in this instance right here, even if you got it when it went down lowest, I saw it go was 14.5. Even if you got it at 14.5, you still lost. They wound up winning it by 2 tutties, 34-20. But sometimes Georgia games are real boring to watch, man. They are. I got to say that. Carson Beck did not play well. Like I said, we'll jump more into that in a little bit. Oregon handles business in the big house, winning by 21 right there. I actually took them on a little alt line, minus 20.5 to get some plus money. I think it was plus 147 on that thing. And they came through, winning by 21, winning by the hook there. Michigan still, once again, got all kinds of problems. We told y'all they're going to take a couple more of them beatings before it's all over. What's up, Will? How you doing, man? He said, I thought of the best college bowl matchup that we all want to see because it'd be a fun game to watch. Well, tell us what it is, man. B. McCormick said, Clemson was the one that I missed on that 10 leg. I took my winnings while I could and didn't wait for the Clemson upset. Hey, there you go. If you cash that thing out, that's a good cash out, man. But yeah, the Ducks handle business in the big house. Indiana looks good. They did trail for the first time all season. They went down 10-0 at Michigan State and then just outscored Sparty 47-0 the rest of the way right there. So the Hoosiers have their best start, tied their best start in program history now. And they are 2 touchdown favorites over the Wolverines this week at home. Who saw that coming? Indiana versus the Cougs. I'm telling you, man, I don't know if your Cougs want that Indiana smoke. Them Hoosiers are the real deal, bro. I'm telling you. They are, like I said, 2 touchdown favorites over the Wolverines this weekend at home, which is I'm probably going to take them too. They've won every game this season by double digits. Texas Tech not only covers the 13.5 for us at Iowa State, but gets the big time upset and ruins the Cyclones' bid for a perfect season right there. Blue said a first round pick left tackle. Okay. And but yeah, Texas Tech actually goes on the road at Iowa State and is nearly 2 touchdown dogs. Gets the outright win over the Cyclones. I kind of knew they were frauds, though. I was expecting them to do this at some point. I was not sold on that Iowa State team just yet, and I think you're going to see them kind of get exposed in the next few weeks. Kansas State, another team that got exposed right here. It's actually Avery Johnson, the quarterback's 20th birthday. Man, no good for him. He'll be one he'll remember for all the wrong reasons because they went down to a Houston team that is becoming a pretty scrappy bunch in Willie Fritz's first season down there. They've started off real bad, but, you know, they usually see his teams continue to get better throughout the first year, and usually by year 2, they usually looking pretty good as he's got most of his systems implemented and all that stuff, and he'll get some of his guys in the offseason, the transfer portal, but they get a big top 25 win over the Kansas State Wildcats right here. Saw their 4-game winning streak come to an end, and that's a bad deal, man. Nobody wants to win that Big 12. Let's see what BYU's got to go down on the road after a bye week now to Utah this week without Cam Rising and all that stuff. We know what Utah is, but I see the Cougs are only favored by 4 in that game, so I'm gonna take BYU again, man. I might be drinking the Kool-Aid there, but they're not getting me again on one of them damn BYU games. I'm gonna keep taking them till they don't cover. We all saying over here, man? Blues, I love my big guys. Without the line, you're nothing. Absolutely right, sir. You got to have those big hogs up front. Ain't nobody worth nothing without them big hogs. Oklahoma State, I am an idiot. I keep taking this stupid ass team. I talk shit about them constantly every chance I get, and I keep betting these idiots every single week, and they suck. They ain't worth a damn. This is a weird game. It got delayed like midway through. They said it was a 7 o'clock start time. I wound up starting at 3:30. Maybe they were trying to get ahead of the weather, but it wound up getting stalled for like 2.5 hours right at halftime, I believe. And Oklahoma State was in the game then. After that delay, Arizona State pummeled them, put it on them. And I keep drinking the damn Kool-Aid on these Cowboys. I ain't doing it again. Mike Gundy. I don't care if you're a man, almost 60, all that bullshit. I don't care. I ain't betting on the damn Oklahoma State Cowboys again. You're better off probably just betting against them the rest of the way. I can't do it now because that's when they'll go on a little run and they'll just beat me out of all my money. So for the rest of y'all, though, I would bet against damn Oklahoma State every single freaking week. Stop drinking it. What's up, SD14? Man, how you doing? I know. Quit drinking that damn Kool-Aid. I mean, you're a grown-ass man too, Cricket. You a man. You almost 40. Wake up. Damn. Cowboys been beating my head in. Clemson got me, man. Let me down. This is my most surprising result of the weekend. Louisville going down to Death Valley in a night game and whipping these boys. I'm telling you, Louisville whipped them all over the field. Even the final score doesn't really reflect the dominance that Louisville put on this Clemson team right here. And I was surprised, man. It felt like Clemson was getting right. And once again, you go back to the strength of schedule. I was like, it don't matter, man. I thought you beating, even if you're beating bad teams, you're beating them bad and convincingly. It does say something for me. But now they got put in the game right here, and they just, had a tough deal. Like I said, we'll break that one down more too. But Clemson just dropped the ball and got beat as nearly, over 10-point favorites here. I got it at 11. I think it wound up closing at 10. But 10-plus point favorites, and Louisville beat you by damn near 2 touchdowns. Blue said, to be honest, I always draft nothing but defense so I can simulate it. And I just focus on the offense in Madden undefeated. I suck at defense, but at offense I can kill. Okay, bro. Okay. Washington gets the outright win. I knew that USC was a bunch of posers too. Washington was whipping them. They were up, I think, 20-7 and wound up USC actually came back, took a 21-20 lead, and Washington scored late to get the W there, but USC got all kinds of problems. That's a seat that ought to be awfully hot as well out there in Los Angeles. But Husky got it done. My balls struggled through that thing with Kentucky right there, but it's okay. There's a reason for optimism, and we don't care. Win. Doesn't matter. Win. I don't care if they do the same damn thing to Mississippi State this week. We're big favorites in that one. Mississippi State, not a good football team. I don't care. Just win them. If you win the rest of them, it doesn't matter how you do it. If you win them, they can't keep you out. So we get the 10-point win over Kentucky, and it did not look good. Once again, that offense in the first half, bro, I don't know what the deal is there. But for whatever reason, in the damn first half, and we do a lot of shooting ourselves in the foot, fumbles and picks and things like that too. But like I said, a W is a W, and we will take it. They are the just the 5th team ever to hold their first 7 SEC in the SEC now. First 7 opponents under 20 points, and the other 4 teams actually won the national championship. So bodes well. Small sample size, obviously, but they got the defense that can win a championship. We just got to get that offense rolling. Nico, seen some receivers. We've seen him miss some receivers, but we also seen some receivers drop some balls this week too. So offense got to get clicking. We need to get Squirrel White healthy and all that. I'm one of those kids that you teach him that you'll never beat him again. Okay, you one of the quick learner, huh? SMU pummeled Pittsburgh, man. I didn't realize, but this is the first home game for SMU since September 28th. They were gone the whole month of October, and I don't even believe their old coach, Lashley, I don't even believe he realized how good this was going to help the Mustangs here, because they brought Pittsburgh came in, and SMU, they've got their highest ranking since, I believe, they were ranked number 3 on October 1st of 1985, 2 years before they got the death penalty. And now I think they're all the way up to, I believe, 13 in the AP poll. Sitting there, they got their first win over a team 7-0 or better since a win over Arkansas in 1954. And then they got their first home win in an AP ranked matchup since a win over Texas in 1949. So SMU did some historic things on Saturday and also put Pittsburgh in the one-loss column. It's been a surprising Pittsburgh team. Pat Narduzzi's club had really played well, but they got whipped in this one, man. And SMU also became the first team ever to start 5-0 in their first year in a power conference. So SMU is the other team tied with Miami atop the ACC standings, as crazy as that may sound. And hell, they were one of those that just got in the ACC at the last minute with the old realignment and all that stuff. They were looking for somewhere to go. They knew shit was about to hit the fan. And they wound up offering the ACC a pretty sweetheart deal to join. And here they are, sitting top of the standings. And Baylor wound up being the one push for us. We actually wound up 9-6-1 this week. We were plus 2.35 units against the spread. We wound up 2-2 on our money line picks there. Arkansas let us down. Vanderbilt came through. Oklahoma State, a bunch of bums. And Washington handled business. So we were actually plus 1.09 units on the money line. And then we lost our teaser. Started out well, started out 4-0, had a chance. But Navy and Clemson let us down on that thing. So we can't even really bitch about only losing one. We lost the last two. And that was a loser for minus 1 units there. So for the week overall, we were plus 2.44 units. And for the college football overall this year now, we are 51-47-2 against the spread for minus a half unit. 10-18 on the money line, minus 0.77 units. We still have those alt spreads haunting us from early in the year, 5-11 on those, minus 4.48 units, and then 0-6 on teaser. Now, I mean, I got to hit a teaser. But think about these 6-leggers. You hit a teaser, you're going to make 6 units back right off the rip right there. So I got to try to bink one of those to get me out of the hole in that spot. But overall, minus 11.75 units on the year for college football. So, still in the red, but clawing our way back out of it. It was a rough 3-week stretch there, and 9-6-1. It was looking a lot better. There was a couple other spots we had that we could have handled business, but teams let us down in those spots. But these things happen, and we'll take the plus money. We'll look at those here in just a little bit. There, Blue. That's Crick's picks from last week. We'll get over here and look at, just start recapping the games, go down through here, and then I will we'll look at the college games for this week. There are a few big ones, man. Alabama actually goes to LSU, and Georgia goes to Ole Miss. Are probably the top 2 games. There's your ranked versus ranked. I'm sure there's some other hidden ones in there. Like I said, Indiana Michigan goes to Indiana, and we'll look at the rest of them in a little bit. But the top 2 are going to be Alabama at LSU and Georgia at Ole Miss. Boise State handled business in a big way on Friday night. San Diego State, not a very good football team. They put up a good fight against Will's Cougs there the week before, but might have shot their wad because they went up to the Smurf turf and got blown out in this thing. 56-24 was the final. Boise State moves to 7-1, and once again still in the catbird seat for that probably number 12 spot in the playoff, the group of 5 playoff spot for the highest ranked team there. We'll get that 12 spot unless they're ranked higher than that. At this point, they could wind up being ranked higher than that. They're only lost the 3-point loss to number 1 and undefeated Oregon, so not a bad loss by any stretch. So as long as they handle business the rest of the way and they keep doing it like that, they may wind up higher than 12 when it's all said and done. Actually, I have the first rankings, college football playoff rankings coming out tonight. Will be released. I believe 7:30 or so is when that happens. So yeah, it should not. There'll be. I think it's tonight, isn't it? Is that tonight or no? It's tomorrow night. Tomorrow night will be when the rankings are. So it's only Monday. Days running together here. So yeah, tomorrow will be the college football playoff rankings. We'll look and see who we think might be there in just a little bit. Oregon beats Michigan in the Big House by 3 touchdowns. And the last time Oregon, back in like 2000, I think it was 2010 or something, Oregon played at Michigan. They whipped them then too, man. It was like 39-7 or something in that one. So Michigan does not like to see the Ducks coming to town. Bowling Green, you love Bowling Green. I like Bowling Green too, man. I'm a Falcons fan. Like I said, they've covered for me a couple times this year. I think I'm undefeated when I bet Bowling Green. Oregon, and no, except that one. They got us on that one, didn't they? Blue. Are they playing today? Who did Bowling Green beat us? They played somebody. They let us down. I do remember that one week, Blue. We were both on them. Yeah, but Oregon moves to 9-0 right there, and they are actually the unanimous number 1 in this week's AP poll. Got every single one of those votes, man. Talking about my balls, we struggled a little bit there in that game. Did not, trail at the half again. We just scored a touchdown in the first half for the first time in 4 damn games. But then come out and do what we do in the third quarter there, put up 2 tutties there. We actually probably outscored teams by a bunch in the third quarter this season because when we do struggle in the first half, we usually come out pretty hot in the second half. Actually outscored Kentucky 21-8 in the second half to win that thing 28-18. Now 7-1 and 4-1 in the SEC. Still stayed at number 7 this week. Didn't drop, didn't move up. None of that. There wasn't a whole lot of shuffling in front of us. Penn State stayed in front of us, but I think they should. Like I said, Tennessee, but doing what you got to do right now, man. I am still impressed by the defense because they do get put in some tough spots sometimes when our offense screws up and turns the ball over. But defense playing very well. Like I said, told you all that stat. Only the 15 to hold their first 7 SEC opponents under 20 points, and the other 4 did win the Natty. So we'll see what happens, man. A lot of football left. Got Mississippi State this weekend, and then we'll go down between the hedges to face Georgia on November 16th. So some big games on the horizon. Speaking of those Bulldogs, like I said, they do handle business in the world's largest cocktail party. Florida was actually giving them all they want. Georgia was down 13-6 at the half in this one, and Lagway went down late in that second quarter, and Florida was just never the same offensively after that. Had to kind of, do what they could do there, and Georgia outscored them 28-7 in the second half to win that thing 34-20. And, Georgia just being Georgia. Like I said, they got another big matchup before. They got the next 2 weeks are going to be big-time games for Georgia. They will go down to Oxford to face Ole Miss this weekend, who's looking pretty good right now. They know Miss. I think I'm going to bet Georgia this weekend. It's a low line. I think Georgia's still minus 2.5. And I think I'm going to bet the Bulldogs this weekend because they usually handle business in those games. But I'm glad they don't have a bye week or a cupcake or something like that because they're going to have to go strap it on this week and then get ready for the Vols the next weekend. Bowling Green tomorrow versus Central Michigan. Okay. Got that orange on, B. McCormick. I love it, man. I love it. You see, I got mine on. I always got mine on, man. Buckeyes go into Happy Valley in the top 5 matchup and win this one 20-13. They led 14-10 at the half. Then we saw field goals the rest of the way in the second half. They actually made 2 big-time goal line stands, one at the end of the game there, I think both from about the 1 or the 2 yard line. And the Buckeyes held strong both times, man. Penn State got to kind of feel like they've let one slip away in all this, but I got to give it to James Franklin. He did kind of own the criticism after they've now lost 8 straight to the Buckeyes. And I think they're 1-13 against them in his tenure or something like that, or 1-13 against top 5 opponents. I mean, they got a real bad stretch going here at Penn State, and they always seem to drop the ball in these big games. But he did kind of own it when they asked him about it. He said, I get it. It's part of the job. Expectations are part of it. And you don't, nobody wants to go just win these New Year's 6 bowls or whatever. Now you got the 12-team playoff. You're obviously vying to get into that thing. And a lot of expectations up there at Penn State. And so I like the way that he did kind of own it there and take accountability for it. And I think Penn State's obviously still very much in the conversation. And they've got some games the next couple. I think they got Washington this next weekend. So they're still very much in the talk and should, as long as they handle business the rest of the way, it might work out better for them because you might wind up having where you get a spot in the playoff, but you don't have to go play in the Big Ten championship game. And you get an extra week to rest and all that before your first round game because they probably will. I would see them having to travel in that one. I don't know. We'll see. We'll have to see how things shakes out. We'll look at the rankings a little bit. But I think Penn State is still very much in the mix there. You got to rebound, but not a terrible loss right there. That's a good Buckeyes football team. And kind of went the way I thought it was going to go. Like I said, Miami was a bit of a surprise for a few. It was 21-17 Duke. Miami actually jumped up 14-0 in this game. And then Duke came back, was up 21-17 at the half, and then went up 28-17 in the third quarter before Miami just went off. Scored 36 points the second half, 15 in the third, 21 in the fourth. Outscored Duke 36-10 in the second half. So that's where you get the difference there. And Cam Ward looked good, threw 5 touchdown passes. They do make that guy take some licks, though, that are unnecessary. And I'm telling you, it ain't going to matter nothing for Miami if that dude gets hurt. He is what makes that team go. And they put him in some spots. I mean, I saw at the end of the game there where they're up, obviously, 22 points here. And he winds up he got rocked a couple times. He got blasted on that last play. He was in there, and I'm like, dude, what are we doing? You're up 22 points, and there's like 4 minutes left in the game. Get that dude out of there, dude. It's blowing my mind that they leave this guy in there as long as they do to take some of the shots that he's having to take. And Mario Cristobal never ceases. I really do not care for him as a head coach. And I think he will wind up being what screws it up for him. And I feel like they're trying to do it now by keeping this guy in the game way past when he should be in there. Because he winds up dropping back and he gets blasted. He got killed by the linebacker from Duke the other day on the last play he was in there. And finally they were like, okay, we got to get him out of here. You're lucky that he didn't get hurt on that play, I'm telling you. But Miami did look good in this thing in the second half. And look good in the first quarter, look good in the second half, had a tough second quarter. But they are ranked number 4 in the country now, moved to 9-0, one of the few remaining undefeated teams, and tied atop the rankings with SMU of the ACC and 5-0. South Carolina whipped A&M, bro. They just whipped them. It was a bad deal. A&M wound up their top running back, wound up going in. I'm drawing a blank on his name, so let's check that. Le'Veon something, I believe. Let's see here. Yeah, Le'Veon Moss. He was their top running back. He only had 2 carries, 8 yards in this game, and he wound up going down with what looked like to be a pretty significant knee injury in this thing. They did kind of cart him back, so never a good deal when you got to ride out of there on the cart. Usually when you ride out of there on the cart, usually means we won't see you till at least next season. So Lenore Sellers, the quarterback for South Carolina, had a great game. I mean, not a great completion percentage, but 13-27, made some big plays, 244 yards, 2 touchdowns, no pick, was efficient with the football, also ran the ball 15 times for 106 yards and a touchdowns. Raheem Sanders had 20 carries and 144 yards and 2 touchdowns, and they whipped Texas A&M in this thing. I saw where they got fined, which, this is the deal now. They got fined for storming the field, all the fans, but whatever. Those boosters usually will happily pay those fines. But A&M, after having a good stretch there, they'd won 7 in a row after losing that first game of the year to Notre Dame, and they got walloped in this one. So shout out to South Carolina. They get to go to Vandy this week in what should be a pretty interesting matchup, man. Texas Tech, we talked about them getting the big win on the road at Iowa State. Iowa State drops the first one of the season, now 7-1 and 4-1 in the Big 12, and they were up 13-10 in the half. I believe Texas Tech went up 10-0 in that game, and then Iowa State comes back to be up 13-10 at the half, and they got outscored 13-9 the rest of the way, and Texas Tech scored late to take the lead in that one. I believe it was like 19 or 20 seconds left when Texas Tech scored, so tough loss for Iowa State there. They do still have a couple big games. They got to go to Kansas State here in a couple weeks. And I believe got a couple cupcakes in between their games they should win. But, sometimes this can be a domino effect. Sometimes you drop one like this and your guys kind of get down on themselves and it can kind of snowball out of control. We've seen that before with some of these teams. And Iowa State could totally be one of those teams that fits that mold. So we may be looking to fade them. Have to look and see what the line is on their game this week. There's Louisville going to Clemson in Death Valley and just handling business. Blocked a field goal for a touchdown. That's always a killer. And, Louisville 6-3, 4-2 in the ACC. Clemson sitting there second in the ACC at 5-1, but kind of dropped. Now they don't control their own destiny like they did before. Before it was kind of probably win all the games you're supposed to and win the rest of the way. This was one they were supposed to win. They were heavily favored in this thing, 10-point favorites. And they were going to handle business in those. They were probably going to be in the ACC championship and play for a spot in the playoff against Miami. Well, now you got to hope that SMU or Miami loses, or there's probably a lot of different things that got to go your way now. You do not control your own destiny if you're Clemson. That's got to be a tough pill to swallow for Dabo. We'll see though. We'll see how it shakes out. Indiana trailed, like I said, for the first time all season. Went down 10-0 in the first quarter. And then blew the doors off. 21-0 in the second quarter there, 21-10 at the half. And then I just outscored them 47-0 the rest of the way. That's a pretty good Indiana football team right there. They obviously, you wanted to see what kind of resiliency they had. Yeah, and been in that spot where they'd been down, been smacked in the mouth yet. You wanted to see how they responded. And they responded quite like I thought they would. Kurt Cignetti is one of those old school dudes that looks like he can take a punch in the mouth. And I really thought that, I didn't think Michigan State would get blown out like this. I thought Indiana would handle business, but I did not think it would wind up doing this, especially after they went down 10-0. I was starting to sweat that 7.5. I was like, man, they're going to wind up messing around and win this thing by a touchdown late. And no, bro. Once they started scoring, they didn't stop. Curtis Rourke had a pretty good game, threw for 263 yards and 4 touchdowns. And they are primed up. I mean, like I said, they got Michigan this week. And then I think there's one more game in between where they go to Columbus. And that's shaping up to be a big-time matchup for the Hoosiers right there. So Sparty, once again, got the right guy in charge up there with Jonathan Smith. And a lot of young guys on that roster. And they'll be all right. I think they're headed the right way. But they were simply outmatched in this one. Kansas State, there they are dropping the ball at Houston. Now 7-2 and 4-2 in the Big 12. Another team that no longer controls their own destiny. And Houston, once again, scrappy bunch. SMU blowing the doors off against Pittsburgh, 8-1, now 5-0 in the ACC. Pittsburgh 7-1 and 3-1 in the ACC. We gave you all those stats on the Ponies just a little bit ago, but man, who would have thought? Looking like they could play in the ACC championship in their first season there. Like I said, the first team to start 5-0 in their first year in a power conference ever. So SMU doing all kinds of things. Ole Miss thumped Arkansas 63-31 right there. Like I said, I expect Arkansas to be a little more competitive in this one. They were not. They have got some issues on the offensive side of the ball. They got some issues on the defensive side of the ball. And Ole Miss got a little tune-up game before they welcomed the Dogs to town. Army, a much smaller win than we expected right here, but I believe they played without Bryson Daly, the quarterback. Let me check that real quick because, yeah, Dwayne Coleman and Matthew Rhodes. I'm not sure what the deal is with Bryson Daly there, but that's a big deal because if that guy's not playing, this is a much different team. He was actually leading the nation in rushing touchdowns going into this week, but he did not play. And I have to see what the deal with him is because they actually have a tough game this week. They got to go down to North Texas team that does have a lot of former Power 4 conference talent on it, guys that were at big schools that transferred to North Texas in the transfer portal. And, they've been getting a lot better as the year's gone along, too. And now Army's got to go down there, and they're smaller favorites than I expected them to be. I think about it was 5.5 point favorites last time I checked it. And if that quarterback's not playing, man, I'm going to be on the mean green. And there's Minnesota going into Illinois and getting the win right there, 25-17. That's pretty good defense for the Golden Gophers. And they get that run game rolling. They are pretty tough team to beat. So we've got 1-4 straight now after starting 2-3. And I believe the Big Ten is probably too far gone for them, but that's a big win on the road over a ranked opponent in Illinois. Once again, has all kinds of issues for them there. So that is a recap of the top 25. Let's look and see if there are any other games that we need to touch on before we look at the lines for next week. Going to the Oklahoma, they actually went down 7-0 in this game. I believe it was 7-0. I know it was 7-7 there because I remember being surprised at the end of the first quarter. It was 7-7. I was like, they were giving up like the line opened at 31.5. It went up going all the way up to 37.5. And hell, they covered it, man. So like I said, it didn't look good early on, but I wish I'd have bet them minus all of it. Northwestern goes into Purdue. Purdue is terrible. They get the 26-20 win there. NC State thumps Stanford. I think we should look to fade Stanford anytime. It's a little late in the season now, but anytime Stanford has to come over to the East Coast to play a college football game, they've been getting beat like this, man. Let's see. You're on my TV, Cricket. I'm going to be quiet. You good, bro. You good, Blue. Sorry, I'm just trying to rattle off in here. I get to reading over there, man. I get lost in all the chat and stuff. And so if y'all got any games you want me to look at, man, make sure and throw them on there, and we will check them out. Syracuse went down 14-0, was down 14-3 at the half, and this one battled back throughout the second half to force OT and wound up defeating Virginia Tech 38-31 in this one. And that's kind of a big win for Syracuse right there. They moved to 6-2. Been a surprise team this year, 3-2 in the ACC. Oh man, there's steps. Eastern Michigan Eagles take another L. I think they actually, Toledo stopped a 2-point conversion or something maybe at the end of the game when Eastern Michigan was trying to go for the win. But yeah, Toledo moves to 6-3, 3-2, 29-28 win. Memphis, this is a big loss for them. They were another team we were talking about for the Group of 5 playoff spot, and they wound up going to UTSA and getting handed an L of their own. Now moving to 7-2. They got the loss at Navy and the loss here at UTSA. Now 4-5. Been a disappointing team this year. The team was expected to compete for that American Conference and has not been very good, but they were good enough in this one. There's Vandy. They got back in the top 25 this week. We'll look at the AP poll here in a minute. But they did get back in the top 25 with a 17-7 win over Auburn. I bet they've never beaten Alabama and Auburn in the same season at Vanderbilt. If I had to guess, I would say that's probably the first time that ever happened. Nobody even talking about it, man. App State gets the win over Old Dominion. App State having a tough year. UAB, wow, they put it on top. Look at that. 2-6 and scoring 59 points. Tulsa, not a very good football team. UCLA goes on the road at Nebraska. Nebraska continues to get more and more disappointing here. A team that looked pretty good early on this season in September looks not very good in November because they took another L at home. UCLA actually wound up putting them on the teaser at plus 12.5, but they went outright as dogs, nearly touchdown dogs in this thing. I think it actually went up to 7 before kickoff. And they went at 27-20 there. North Carolina over Florida State. Florida State now 1-8 and 1-7 in the ACC. They should fire everybody down there in Tallahassee, man. North Carolina wins this one 35-11, and that's another bad loss. Florida State, they gave up, man. There's Oklahoma State again. Drink that Kool-Aid cricket. They're not even going to make a bowl. This has got to be these two teams right here. They should make them, even since they're not going to make a bowl game, they should have to play each other to the death when it's all said and done, because those are the two most disappointing programs in college football this season, is Florida State and Oklahoma State. They should fire everybody at both those places. Start over. And they should have to play. And that's what they do. Make them play, and the loser's got to fire everybody. The winner's probably going to want to fire everybody too. So, but those are definitely the most two disappointing programs in college football this year. This was a surprising result for me too, man. I thought UCF might win this thing. They've almost been getting right for a couple of weeks now. The BYU game was kind of a fraud there, but they went up to Iowa State and should have won that game. But I didn't expect them to do this to Arizona. That offense hadn't clicked like this all year long for the Golden Knights here. Put up 56 points on Arizona, and that is a tough loss for the Wildcats there. I meant to ask my guy AJ about that yesterday, how he felt on that, but I guess he's probably happy I forgot that. MTSU got him another win there over UTEP. See if there's any of those. Navy, man. Navy again drops another one, 2 in a row after getting blown out by Notre Dame. They go down to Rice as the line wound up shrinking down some. It opened up 12.5 or something like that, and then wound up going down to, they may even got below 10 in some spots, but they got beat by 2 touchdowns straight up right here. You could take Rice minus 13.5 on the alt line if they'd have let you, and it paid well, I promise you. But they get the big win right there. Mississippi State broke their 7-game losing streak with a win over Massachusetts. They were actually down 10-0 in that game, so had to work for it. Iowa thumped Wisconsin. Another surprising result there. I expected Wisconsin to show up a little better than that, but another Iowa game goes over here. I believe they went over by themselves because it was sitting around 41.5, right around that number. So they were all over the total by themselves, and Wisconsin gracious with 10 points to get you the over there for you Iowa bettors. Washington defeats USC straight up there, 26-21. And USC, another team, they're tied with Florida State and Oklahoma State as the most disappointing teams this year. Georgia Southern defeats South Alabama, and Baylor gets the last-second field goal to defeat TCU and get the push there. Colorado State 38-21 over Nevada. Let's look at the AP poll and see what that looks like this week, and then we will look at the lines for next week, see if there's anything we like early to snag before they move, and then we'll probably wrap this thing up for y'all. But here's the new AP poll this week. Oregon remains at number 1 and is the unanimous number 1, receiving all 62 first-place votes. Georgia stays at number 2 with the win over Florida there. Ohio State moves up 1 spot after their win over Penn State, and will be sitting there at number 3. Miami up a spot from number 5, now 9-0 after their win over Duke. Texas was idle last week, but still moves up a spot number 5, and Penn State falls 3 spots to number 6 after their loss to the Buckeyes. My Vols remain at number 7 after the close win over Kentucky. Indiana all the way up to number 8 right here at 9-0, up 5 spots. I believe possibly, no, not quite the biggest move. SMU was the biggest move of the week, but I believe that is Indiana's highest ranking maybe ever. No. It's the first time that Indiana was ranked ahead of Notre Dame is what it was since like 1950 something. So big deal for the Hoosiers there, man. Having a great season. Love seeing it for Kirk Cignetti. I like that guy. So good for the Hoosiers. BYU remains at 9. They were idle last week as well. Notre Dame is down 2 spots, but I believe, were they idle last week? They might have been idle last week too. Either way, they are down 2 spots and they got the W. So 7-1 there for the Irish. Alabama 6-2, up 3 spots to number 11. Boise State up 3 spots as well to number 12. And SMU, the biggest riser of the week, up 7 spots to number 13. Like I said, their highest ranking since October 1st of 1985, 2 years before the death penalty was invoked. LSU up 2 spots to number 14. A&M falls 5 spots after their loss at South Carolina to 15. Ole Miss up 3 spots to 16 after the win at Arkansas. Iowa State was down 6 spots after losing at home to Texas Tech. Army up 3 spots to number 18. And Clemson down 8 spots after their loss at home to Louisville to 19. Washington State Wills Cougs up 2 more spots to number 20. Colorado is up 2 spots to 21. They were idle this past week as well. Kansas State drops 5 spots with their loss to 22. And Pittsburgh drops 5 spots as well with their loss at SMU to 23. And Vanderbilt is 24. And Louisville 25, both those teams coming into the rankings after being unranked last week. Let's get over here and we will pull the lines up and check those out and see what we got going this week right here. There you go, Blue. You got Bowling Green and Central Michigan tomorrow night at Central Michigan. Bowling Green 12.5-point favorites in that one. Y'all know my rule, man. I don't bet on that. Don't bet on that Tuesday, Wednesday college football. It gets me bit. They're Miami of Ohio at Ball State. I'll tell you what. If I had to lean this one, I kind of like this Ball State team. Scrappy bunch. I feel like getting 12 points at home. I know that Miami Ohio team's pretty solid too. But getting 12 points at home on a weird Tuesday night game, weird things happen in those Tuesday night games, man. I don't like betting the favorites in those. So be careful with Bowling Green Blue, especially on the road. 2 touchdowns a lot, and weird stuff happens in those Maction games. But Ball State getting 12 at home. You got a total of 48 in both games tomorrow night. On Wednesday, you got Ohio at Kent State. Kent State getting 18 at home, total of 52 in that one. Northern Illinois and Western Michigan also tomorrow night, both those games starting at 7 o'clock. And you've got Western Michigan getting 2 at home against Northern Illinois and a total of 52.5 in that one. On Thursday, Florida Atlantic will travel to East Carolina. East Carolina minus 7.5 at home in this one and total of 57.5 there. Appy State at Coastal Carolina on Thursday night as well. Coastal Carolina minus 1 at home and a total of 62.5. So expecting a lot of points in that one. Check the weather, y'all. Friday night, some exciting things on Friday night, and I see one I like already, man. You got Cal traveling to Wake Forest. Wake Forest getting 7 points at home and a total of 55 in that one. Iowa going to UCLA, and UCLA actually 6.5-point dogs in this one and a low total of 44.5 there. I like UCLA in this thing early on right there. We'll have to see what line moves. If it doesn't move north of 7, it move north of 7, it scared me a little bit, but UCLA's been a covering machine this year and even won outright, just like last weekend at Nebraska. Won outright in that thing. So I like UCLA getting the 6.5 at home there. Rice at Memphis on Friday night at 9. Memphis minus 9.5 at home there. Total of 52.5 in this one in New Mexico and San Diego State. The late game Friday night. Aztecs minus 3 at home. Total of 60. Golly, high total in that one. We're going to bet the over in that one, y'all. Let's go over 68 New Mexico, San Diego State. That's a winner. Miami will travel to Georgia Tech on Saturday at noon. Miami minus 11 on the road. I believe we might. That feels a little low. No, we'll just take the over in that one too. I like the over in Miami, Georgia Tech, 64 right there. Miami game has been going over at a pretty crazy rate. I don't know the exact number on it, but I know they've been going over crazy because they scored them. They are the number 1 scoring offense in the country, and they ain't really stopping that many people either. Even the games they're winning by 3 touchdowns, the other team's still scoring 30. So we're going to take the over in Miami, Georgia Tech this week. There's Florida and Texas. I'm probably going to take Texas, man, because it's already moved out a half point to 21.5. It was minus 21 earlier. And Florida, like I said, I don't know how they're going to move the ball on offense, man, down to the 3rd-string quarterback. And no shade at that guy, but I think he's in a bad spot, bro. It's a cool story. He grew up a Florida fan and all that stuff. He's going to get his chance. But I'm just saying, I don't see any way that they're going to be able to move the football and score any points against this Texas defense. And I think I like Texas. They're going to be coming in off a bye here after that loss. Was that loss to Georgia a few weeks ago? They had the bye after. It's all running together at this point. Either way, I like the Longhorns right here in this one. Minus 21.5. I think you probably take this thing up some. They may wind up thumping the Gators because, like I said, I don't see any way they score. Minnesota at Rutgers. Rutgers plus 6 at home there. I don't really have an opinion on that one. Minnesota's been playing well on a 4-game winning streak. Navy, small favorite at South Florida, and you cannot trust that Navy team right now either. They got some problems going on. You got to go back on the road this weekend. Ohio State minus 1 million at Purdue minus 38 and a total of 53 in that one. Purdue's not good, y'all. Not good, but that is a big number right there, and could be easy for Ohio State to get up by 5 touchdowns and call the dogs off and not get over that number. But you're probably, with it being that high, you're probably okay taking Ohio State, I'll be honest. Purdue's not any good. Boston College minus 2.5 at home against Syracuse right here. That's an interesting line on that one. Syracuse pretty good football team too, at 6-2 there. So I don't know why Boston College. I know they're at home, but have to check the status quarterback. He obviously, I know he's been back for a week or two now. Make sure he's still all right, but that might be a weird spot for Boston College in this one. West Virginia at Cincinnati. Cincinnati minus 5 at home, 56.5 is the total in that one. Looking down through here to see, here's one of the big ones. Georgia at Ole Miss. Georgia minus 2.5 in Oxford. Last time they played down in Oxford, they got beat in 2016, but they thumped Ole Miss last year at Georgia, and I'm going to expect them to do it again. I still think Ole Miss is kind of fraudulent, especially on defense, and so I think that when Georgia tries to mix it, I think I like the under too, because I don't know. Carson Beck's got to be more careful with the football, man. He's throwing some bad picks. He threw some bad picks in that Florida game. I don't even know who he was throwing to on a couple of those. Now, granted, he usually makes up for it and makes a big play down the field at some point, but you got to stop putting him in such a tough spot. If he doesn't turn the football over and, is able to hit some of those downfield shots, I believe Georgia might put it on Ole Miss in this thing right here. So I'm going to take the dogs under a field goal. We'll have to watch the line, see how it moves, but I'll be honest with you. I think you go ahead and bet Georgia right now because I think this line winds up moving out north of 3, and I think you got some value taking Georgia right now, minus 2.5. Michigan, there's Michigan at Indiana. Indiana minus 14 in this one. Who saw that coming? Did not have that on the bingo card. The Hoosiers favored by 2 touchdowns over the Wolverines at home right here. Total of 48.5 in this one. I'm going to bet Indiana again. Like I said, all 9 of their wins this season have come by double digits. And Michigan got whole kinds of problems. Don't have any quarterbacks, man, and the defense, they're giving up there. There's Army at North Texas, and it must be looking like Bryson Daly is trending toward playing because this is minus 5.5 earlier. I think it might have been minus 5, but moved out to minus 6 now at North Texas. And if Bryson Daly plays, I think you take Army right there. Maybe you go ahead and bet Army now. You're gambling if you do that, but aren't we all? You might bet Army now minus 6 because if it winds up being for sure that he's playing, it may move north of 7 above the touchdown, but that wouldn't scare me either. I think it might be if that guy plays, I'd take Army. Iowa State at Kansas. That's a low number, surprise. That's what I'm saying. Iowa State's got to be careful right now, not let the wheels fall off, because that loss at home by 1 point could turn into a couple real bad weeks. And you go down to the Kansas team right here, has not been very good. Definitely doesn't look great on the stat sheet, but they are a scrappy bunch as well. And Jalen Daniels, the quarterback down there, they can score some points. They get to rolling on offense. So you got kind of a higher total than you've seen in some of these Iowa State games. And I would be careful with Iowa State this weekend. That looks like money on the floor for a lot of y'all. And I think they're almost begging you to take the Cyclones, and the wheels could fall off on that thing if they're not careful. Clemson at Virginia Tech. Clemson minus 6.5 right here. Should expect this bounce back spot from Clemson, but Virginia Tech also let one slip away at Syracuse there. So this is a game I'm going to have to watch this line, kind of go back and, Clemson played the same time as my Vols the other night, so I didn't get to watch a whole lot of that one. I need to go back and kind of look at some of that game and see what really happened there, how Clemson got so out of hand so quick, because they were never really in that thing. And now you go to a Virginia Tech team that's been pretty solid squad. I feel like they're a team that shoots themselves in the foot a lot and wind up losing some games they have no business losing. They did the same thing to Vanderbilt early in the year. And so we'll have to kind of look at that one, see how that line moves, because that's kind of a weird line for that game. It would not have been that had Clemson not looked so bad. I think that's what I'm saying. I think it would have been Clemson closer to probably 9.5 or something had they not dropped the ball so bad against Louisville there. So we might be getting a little gift with Clemson under a touchdown right there. Georgia State at James Madison. Duke at NC State. NC State minus 3 against the Dukies right there. Total of 50 in that one. Colorado travels to Texas Tech. I think I like the Buffs in this one, since rest in peace to that under 5.5 wins ticket. So I think that I might go ahead and start betting the Buffs some to get some of my money back, because my take on them was wrong, man. They're better than I thought they were, period. I'll tell you when I'm wrong. I'll totally admit when I'm wrong in these spots, and I was wrong about the Buffs. They are a much better football team than I gave them credit for. And I think after the big win for Texas Tech on the road at Iowa State, now I think this could be a letdown spot for the Red Raiders. Colorado will be coming off the bye, so everybody should be, close to healthy as they're going to get. And I think that Colorado right here under a touchdown might be a gift as well. And I think it was sitting at 3 earlier, and they moved it up 3.5 already. So books ain't too scared of it. And I think a lot of people are going to have a recency bias and remember Texas Tech, what they did last weekend, and nobody's seen Colorado play in a couple weeks. So I think a lot of people are going to wind up piling on Texas Tech. I think the play in that one's going to be the Buffs, anything under a touchdown. Let's see here. Got Mississippi State. There's Mississippi State at my balls. Tennessee minus 23.5. In this one, it's gone down. It was 24 earlier. It's gone down. I wouldn't mess with this, y'all. Mississippi State has also played in a couple games where they were big dogs this year. Once against Georgia, once against Texas. They covered both those games. Tennessee's not looked great on the opposite side of the ball. You could have the look-ahead factor for the balls. You got Georgia the next week. I wouldn't mess with this big spread right here. Usually when I say that, Tennessee winds up winning by 50. But I wouldn't mess with it right here in this spot. And so I think minus 23.5 may be too many in that one. Total of 61 there, so I don't know. I probably wouldn't mess with the total either. Maryland at Oregon. Oregon minus 25. Total of 57.5 there on that one. Oklahoma State and TCU. I ain't drinking that damn Oklahoma State Kool-Aid no more. There's Alabama and LSU. Night game in Death Valley. Always tough to do. Alabama minus 3, and I may be on LSU in this one. To be honest with you, I might be on the LSU money line right here. Obviously, not one of the great Alabama teams, a good Alabama team, but not one of the great teams you've seen. LSU, like I said, Death Valley, always a tough place to go play. Even those great Alabama teams in the past have had trouble going down to Death Valley on a Saturday night. They get pretty rocking down there, and they will be hype on this coming Saturday. So I think I might be taking LSU the field goal there. That's another line we'll have to watch. Notre Dame minus 26 against Florida State. I don't like taking these big spreads for Notre Dame like this, but this is kind of a different one. Normally they're favored like this against the Northern Illinois and the Miami of Ohio's of the world. They're normally not favored like this against a team like Florida State. And I feel like if you're Notre Dame, you obviously know you can't drop the ball. And Florida State cannot match up with this team. Clearly, this was expected to be a top 10 matchup in the preseason. And we all know what's happened since then. So I think you might be okay taking Notre Dame minus 26 right here. They probably do win this game by 4+ touchdowns because Florida State ain't no good and they've given up. So Notre Dame knows they need style points too. So I think we take Notre Dame minus 26 right there. I like that. Like the LSU game, I'm just going to click on some of these so I remember to go back. Keep an eye on them. Penn State minus 13.5 against Washington. If they move this north of 14, you're going to be all right taking any lines, I think, too. Got to kind of wait and see, probably check and see, make sure everybody's healthy. Jai-Alai played last week, but they did kind of sub him in and out. So see how healthy he is. Washington State has not played well when they had to travel to these other Big Ten games. So I think under 2 touchdowns, you probably want to go ahead and bet Penn State if you're thinking about betting them. Take them right now minus the 13.5 because I think it probably eventually does move up through 14. Washington State just hasn't looked good when they've had to travel in Big Ten games. Boise State minus 24 against Nevada. They're going to be favored like this pretty much every game the rest of the way. I would say outside of, I guess, Mountain West championship game or something like that, probably play UNLV or somebody in there. That could be the one where they have a spot drop. I don't see where they can drop a game, before then. But it's also very hard to see those 3+ touchdown underdogs coming through with a W. They do happen, though. Already happened a couple times this year. Virginia at Pittsburgh. Pittsburgh minus 7.5. May be okay to take the Panthers in this one, especially if they keep it above 7.5. I'm going to watch that one because they definitely are going to be pissed off this weekend. And Virginia, not a great football team either. Now you got to travel on the road for a night game. They'll be rocking up there looking to bounce back. So I think that's probably going to be a good spot for Pittsburgh. BYU goes to Utah. They moved this line out of half point already. It was -4 earlier. We're going to take the Cougs right here, not the Utes. We're going to leave Utah alone like we said we were going to do a long time ago. We're just going to bet against them now. And I think BYU is kind of a machine. They look like they're kind of running away with that Big 12 at this point with these other teams dropping games this past weekend. So I like BYU again this week. Anything under a touchdown there too. Rivalry game, though. In-state rivalry game. Do remember that. But then there's Will's Cougs with the nightcap. -20.5 at home against Utah State. And I'll be honest, you're probably okay to take the Cougs in that one. Utah State, not a very good football team either. They've been blown out several times this year themselves. And Will's Cougs in there 7-1, man. He's going to beat his chest and beg for a playoff spot. But I'll be honest with you, man, I don't think you want that. I don't think you want that, but good season for the Cougs nonetheless. But that's what we got, I believe, man. Probably going to get close to wrapping this thing up. We've been about an hour, and that's about all I got to talk about. I'm sure we'll cover these games some more throughout the weeks, and I'll watch the lines move. I will have Crick's Picks out on Wednesday there, and we'll see if we can't find some gems and some money laying in the weeds. But we will be back with y'all bright and early in the morning for your Sports Morning Espresso Shot at 7:30 a.m. Eastern, 4:30 a.m. Pacific time. And then Steps and I will be with y'all tomorrow afternoon for Pump the Brakes at 5 p.m. Eastern time right here on the Game On channel. I want to say you and your beautiful family stay safe out there today. Good luck in all of your wagers tonight. Got Monday Night Football this evening. My Buccaneers taking on the Chiefs. I don't feel great about it, y'all. Y'all already know that, though. If you saw the morning show, I do not feel great about my Bucs tonight. But I also never like to lay that many points with the Chiefs. They always seem to bite me in those spots as well. So, I don't know. Might just watch that one as a fan this evening. And no problem, Blue. Great to have you guys in here. B. McCormick, good to see y'all, man. Appreciate y'all coming in here and hanging out with me as always. So, like I said, we'll see y'all bright and early in the morning for your espresso shot. So, until then, good luck, good gambling, and game on.